All right, it is time to begin section 2 of our district curriculum journey. But before we dive into section 2, which is about standards and power standards, I want to give you a short official introduction to our district curriculum templates. Before we go any further, stop. Do not put any district curriculum into your own Google folders. Before you begin any curriculum writing, please make sure you have access to the correct district curriculum folder in Google. Your principal has shared this with you. If they haven't, ask them to reshare it. Or if you're in a training with myself or any of the instructional coaches, ask us. If you're not sure, we will make sure you have correct access to your district curriculum folders. All of the curriculum you write should be located in a district folder, not a personal folder. We've had a couple of issues with this in the past, so we're trying to make sure that we stop this before it starts. Basically, I'll use green eggs and ham mentality. Do not put your district curriculum, do not put it in a box, do not put it with a fox, do not put it here or there, do not put it anywhere except the district curriculum folder. If you already have some of your curriculum in your own personal folders, we will need to move those to a district curriculum folder. If you ask for help with that, we can help you get that done. Also, one other note, Team Drive does not work for district curriculum. If you have your district curriculum in Team Drive already, move it out. Tamara can help you with that, I can help you with that, anyone can help you with that, but it needs to be in the district curriculum folder. Multiple reasons for that I can get into later, but please stop right now before you do anything else and make sure you have access to the district curriculum folder that has been shared with you by your principal. If you don't have access to it, email your principal and ask for access. Thank you. Also note that we're jumping straight into power standard work and standards. This is not the entire curriculum development process. We're jumping in and assuming you've done the foundational work first. The foundational work has to happen before we build anything on top of it. So any curriculum that we write needs to be based on a solid foundation. That solid foundation is not covered in depth in this presentation, but more information can be found on the teacher checklist. Please do the foundational work first before you jump in. Here's a copy of the teacher checklist. Here's what it says. Curriculum foundation work right here. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you. If you've already done this, ignore this section. But basically we're going to look at our crosswalks and examine our standards. What is staying the same? What are we adding? What are we moving? What are we removing if your standards have changed? You're going to sort those standards into current units. You've probably already done this. If you haven't, you do that. Then we jump into identifying power standards, completing pacing guides, and organizing folders. So just so you know, if you want details on the curriculum foundation work that has to be done before you can write curriculum, use that teacher checklist. All right, now we can jump right into section 2 about standards and power standards. The first thing that we're going to do is identify our power standards. So this assumes that you've already taken those prior actions looking at your current standards and your crosswalks to see if your standards have changed and sorting those standards into units of instruction. If you've already done those two things, you're ready to identify your power standards. During your curriculum year, we will determine and vertically align those power standards for your content. When we're looking for power standards, there are some criteria that we use to determine what is most important. Before I jump into those criteria, I do want to show you one thing. So, if you look at power standards are kind of like the fence posts. If you look, priority standards are the same thing as power standards, we just call them something different. Priority standards are what are kids going to need to know for life, what are kids going to need to know for school, and what are kids going to need to know for testing. We're going to identify those as our most important standards that we teach. Does that mean we don't teach other standards? Absolutely not. We still teach those, but we identify what are priorities. Those supporting standards are like the rails. They hold it together, they connect those important standards. They're still important, but they are not the ones that anchor us and that are important for kids long term. So if we go back, I think that helps clarify these criteria for selecting power standards. Also, the mindset behind selecting power standards is there are lots of standards out there and we can't teach them all to the same level, meaning we can't say everything is important, because then nothing becomes important. There's too much to cover. So identifying power standards helps us identify and prioritize some of those and lend some extra time to those standards. So how we determine those standards: E for endurance, meaning it's a lasting importance. That's that life part. What's important for life? L is for leverage, important in other academic areas. Do I need to know this in math? Because it's also going to be important in science. Do I need to know this in ELA? Because I'm going to have to do this in the next few grade levels up. R is for readiness. Is it necessary for the next grade level? Is it included in assessments? State assessments goes in with this as well. So you can see that. Life, school, and testing. That's how we decide what our power standards or our priority standards are going to be. This is just a little further explanation of that fence posts and rails. Like fence posts, power standards provide curricular focus in which teachers need to dig deeper and assess student competency. You can see that the fence posts, if it weren't for the fence posts, the fence couldn't stand. None of that other work would connect. None of it would stay standing. So those power standards, those priority standards, are the things that keep everything else working. They're most important. However, the fence rails are supporting standards, and they are curricular standards which connect to and support the power standards. Even if we had the fence posts, if we didn't have anything connecting it all together, it wouldn't be a functioning fence. We wouldn't have a functioning curriculum. So, this is a general rule about assessing our standards. Granted, I did put this in here. Every rule has an exception. There is no exception to this rule. Ha ha ha, funny. But there are exceptions to this, but as a general rule, our power standards are what we include on our grade cards. They are assessed formally in summative assessments and included on that grade card. The supporting standards are assessed informally, but they are still taught to the students. Don't neglect to put them in your curriculum. We want to teach those supporting standards, but they may not go in the grade card. That's a general rule. Again, there are exceptions. So Section 2 about priority standards and determining standards is going to end here. Before you go on to Section 3, please complete Section 2 of the Google Form survey. Thank you.